How we make most buildings today is a very labor-intensive process, and there's a lot of waste that goes into it. I started teaching mass timber because mass timber represents a building system that helps to address some of those concerns. In many ways, the challenge and the fun part about that is, when you're working in 3D modeling space, certain things that seem really easy to pull off, when you actually get into the fabrication lab, are enormous hurdles.
Timber is a timeless material. It's been used in construction for thousands of years. It's environmentally friendly and it's beautiful. But when it comes to industrial and commercial-sized buildings, wood generally isn't considered strong or safe enough.
I remember as an undergraduate student, and even as a graduate student, in methods and materials classes, you wouldn't really talk about wood outside of stick frame construction and kind of finished mill grade application.
However, new technological advances have led to innovative wood products that can be as strong as steel and concrete, but lighter, less wasteful, and easier to build with.
So you can think of mass timber as a family of engineered wood products. And what's happening is you're taking pieces of dimension lumber and you're combining those together. So if you take, for example, a cross-laminated timber panel and you compare it to a precast concrete panel, the wood has an exceptional strength to weight ratio. They're so strong that now with changes to the International Building Code in 2021, we can actually build mass timber buildings up to 18 stories tall.
Despite all of these advancements, there are still only a handful of buildings in Texas that utilize mass timber, in part because there is a lack of general awareness.
We have to remember that even as World War II came to an end, things like plywood would have been seen as a new novel material. Cross-laminated timber today is new in that way.
But also because decision makers in the construction industry aren't being taught how to use it, and thus aren't even considering it as a construction material.
Many architects have never built with mass timber. And one of the reasons is that that was not part of their formal education.
And when architects aren't taught how to use mass timber, they either charge a premium to become familiar with the material, or it's not considered at all.
Until very recently, there weren't even places where they would even know how to acknowledge a mass timber system. And this is where I think it's really important that I am showing this to my students, because they'll ask questions about, well, why don't we consider a mass timber system in this project? And that's where it's gonna percolate.
So in an effort to make mass timber more approachable, Tate collaborated with Texas A&M Forest Service to acquire cross-laminated timber panels for his class to experiment on.
It was really a breath of fresh air to begin talking with Tate about opportunities for Texas A&M Forest Service and Texas A&M University Architecture to collaborate. And Tate, recognizing that his specialty is architecture, mine is forestry, why not ask the forester to come in to his classrooms and into his studios to talk about something that more and more architectural designers are interested in and care about, including environmental sustainability.
And while it might seem counterintuitive, timber is actually one of the most easily renewable and highly sustainable resources available, especially when it's sourced from working forests in East Texas.
Forests are unique. Yes, they do grow timber, but the trees and the other plants that grow there are beneficial for a wide array of other uses. For example, forests are habitat for numerous wildlife species. Forests ensure a clean drinking water supply. Forests sequester carbon, and that wood can be sawn into lumber and put into a building or another product that locks up that carbon for a long period of time. And there are numerous other benefits.
However, without a strong demand for timber, landowners don't have the incentive to continue growing and maintaining their forests. Cross-laminated timber has the potential to create that demand.
If even a small percentage of construction that currently utilizes precast or cast-in-place concrete or steel construction were to shift to more sustainable materials, including cross-laminated timber, that would have a tremendous impact, a tremendous positive impact on demand for forest resources. So James Tate, as it turns out, is very interested in designing with mass timber. And so there's this natural desire to want to partner with him in our efforts to increase awareness and acceptance of cross-laminated timber in Texas.
I think giving students a chance to build and make things with their hands is absolutely critical to their architectural education. You know, it has a long history dating back to the Bauhaus in Germany, and I hope to do more and more. We're hoping to get a ready supply of CLT that we can engage students every semester, every year in designing things and making things that can go on display, like the one that Tate's designed and built out of mass timber along with students.
Some of the first design experiments that Tate produced, we put on display at the 2021 Texas Forestry Association annual meeting.
The natural resources of Texas.
The main display that we had was very innovative. Tate experimented with ways of using the wood to produce the joints. He's also thinking about ways of using the wood and modifying the aesthetic so that you're not just looking at a flat panel, but he's using the CNC machine to actually carve in or cut into the wood to produce different design aesthetics. And that's something that, in a way, he's ahead of his contemporaries.
I mean, it's an interesting point that I've known Tate since he was an undergraduate student here. He's taught all over the country. He's a very intense person, very talented, very fearless, frankly.
We're going to be building a lot of buildings in the coming decades. The idea that we could potentially produce buildings that are using locally sourced resources and are then sustainable in the cities and towns that we live in, that's super important going forward.
There's a time, maybe in the not so distant future, when we could actually be growing our own buildings in this state. And James Tate and the College of Architecture at Texas A&M are going to be key partners. And there's a real opportunity for the Texas A&M University system to be leaders in implementing sustainable building systems.